Okay, we're recording, right? All right, cool. Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas W. Timbrooks, and I am running for the United States House of Representatives. I want to work in Washington, D.C. to represent Oregon's 6th Congressional District for the Republican Party. And my whole motto there is I want to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. And here I am. The reason I got these videos going is so that I can introduce Oregon's 6th Congressional to. Whoo, hey, there I am. Hey, I am as good looking as the guy on that picture. So I want to introduce Oregon. I want Oregon to know what kind of person I am. I want Oregon to get to know me as a human being, not just a potential representative, potential politician. That's something that happens a lot. Is you see somebody on television, you tend to forget that they're actually, that's a human being. This is a person. Yeah, they make mistakes. They say dumb things. They do stupid things. This is a human being. It's not a robot, not a piece of software that you're sending over to Washington to represent you. So, yeah, I want people of Oregon's 6th Congressional District to understand the kind of person I am, the nature of my character, to find out a little bit about me. And so I'm a engineer, a manufacturing engineer. I've been one for a very long time, and that's one of the reasons I think that I can help with Oregon and the 6th Congressional District, because I see a lot of potential in Oregon's 6th Congressional District. We have a lot of technology that I think could benefit a great deal from federal support, and that's really the job. One of the major job of the representative is to go to Washington, D.C. and have federal dollars diverted to our congressional district, and to find ways of doing that. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm creating these videos. And I know more than likely not many people are going to see them until 2026, when the election comes around and people start researching the people who they're potentially electing. And that's why I want to make a good library of videos so that people can find out more about me. Be an informed voter. So that's really my objective, is to inform the voting public as to what kind of person I am, what kind of character I have, and let you guys decide for yourself whether or not you can trust me. And like I said, I want to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. And I want to address, in this video, today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that's happening in Mexico. Recently in Mexico, there has been some issues with the president of Mexico being accused of assisting the narco traffickers, the narcotics traffickers, the people who are the criminals, the criminal organizations, the criminal bosses in Mexico that have taken the power away from the politicians. The criminal organizations down there have a saying, either silver or lead. Okay, you're going to do what we tell you to do. We're going to do what we want. And in order to get rid of the people who are objecting to what the narcotics traffickers do, they're going to offer the people in power a choice. Either you take the silver or you will take the lead. And that, of course, means we're going to give you a payoff or we're going to give you a bullet. The choice is yours. And they have that kind of power down in Mexico because of the demand for narcotics in America, and also for the demand for illegal aliens to come up and do work. People coming across the United States-Mexican border is a huge business for the criminal organizations down in Mexico. And so what happened recently was there was a mayor of a city in Mexico who chose to stand up to the narco traffickers. He's like saying, no, I'm not going to take the silver and you're not going to give me the lead. I'm going to do what's right for my town, for my people. My people are not of this town. The people of this town are not going to be bossed around by the narco traffickers. And of course, he was murdered. And so the president of Mexico did something that was interpreted by the people of Mexico to be assisting in the narco traffickers. So the people of Mexico who are protesting, those people are protesting the president because they see the president as being in the pocket of the narco traffickers. And they don't like their president, they don't like their government being manipulated and used by the narco traffickers. I mean, they realize that any politician that is in the pocket of the narco traffickers has been given the decision to make. You've got the choice, silver or lead. And I suppose, I can't speak for the people in Mexico, but they have to understand that every politician down there who gets in the way of the traffickers, the drug traffickers, they're given this choice, silver or lead. Well, something is happening in Mexico, and it's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And that's where I want to kind of get into, well, you're going to think this is silly at first, but trust me, it's not silly. It is, I'm going somewhere with this, okay? And here's where I'm going. I want to just prepare you. You're going to think it's silly. You're going to think that I was high when I was creating this. I'm not high now, and I wasn't high when I was creating this. It's going to be silly at first, but trust me, I'm going somewhere, okay? And here we have Zorro, the archetype of resistance, and why Mexico is reclaiming him. Okay, that's I may not have been high, but I was a little bit tired. So yes, Zorro, I'm going there, Zorro, okay? So there we go, Zorro, this guy right here, Zorro. And in one of the more recent movies of Zorro, of course, Catherine Zeta-Jones was Zorro's girlfriend, and yeah, I think that's kind of awesome. But Zorro goes back a long time. The original story of Zorro started, I think, in 1910, something like that. There was this author, and this author decided to write a book about a fictional character, called him Zorro. And this fictional character lived in California, and of course, fought for truth and justice, and fought against oppression, and fought against the powerful politicians who would use their power badly to oppress the masses. And of course, Zorro did not exist, but then again, neither did King Arthur, and neither did Beowulf, and neither did Robin Hood. None of those people existed. William Tell didn't exist. But many, many stories are told of these characters. And this is why I say Zorro is an archetype. And this is a standard thing for fictional literature to be written about these archetypes. And the reason I'm talking about Zorro now is because well, let's get back to the slides, because I want to get with my slides. So the nature of power is section 1. The archetype of resistance to injustice. And this is what Zorro is. He is one of the archetypes of resistance to injustice, and why California's oldest legendary heroes still matters today. And we got to talk about what is power. And power is the ability to influence or control others through strength, resources, some kind of I shouldn't have put authority on there because authority and power are basically, they're sort of opposites about that. But through strength and resources, essentially, if you point a gun at somebody's head and say, do this, they're going to do it because you have power over that person. You have a gun pointed at that person's head. You have power over that person is afraid. It's the whole silver or lead thing. You're either going to take the bribe or we're going to shoot you. So that's, the silver or lead. What is your choice? These people have power over the politicians. And let's get back to this. Wherever power exists, corruption can take root. And in Mexico, corruption is certainly taking root. How power corrupts. When power becomes self-serving, dissent is punished, loyalty is rewarded, truth becomes negotiable, and people are pressured to accept ideas they do not want to believe. And that's where that mayor in Mexico, the one who was killed by the cartel, he didn't want to accept it, but they had power over him, and they used their power, and they did something really, really terrible. They abused their power, and so here comes the archetype of Zorro. Zorro, once again, did not exist. Zorro is the personification of the people's resistance to a corrupt government, a corrupt system. You, me, the general public, we don't like a corrupt system. We don't like corrupt government, but how are we going to stand up to a corrupt government? Well, that's what Zorro is all about. Now, California is a unique part of America in that initially California was claimed by the British, then by the Spanish, and after the Spanish the Mexican Revolution, the Spanish were removed from California, and the Mexican government came in to take over. So California was controlled by the British, the Spanish, the Mexicans, and now by the United States. The Mexican people who lived in California, they've been living there for 400 years, maybe 500 years. They've been there for quite some time. So the governments have changed, but the people essentially remain the same. And this is where the spirit of Zorro, the spirit of resistance to an oppressive government that abuses its power over its people, this is coming alive in Mexico. And this is a wonderful thing that the Mexican people are actually standing up to a powerful group of people, the cartels, who are abusing their power. So, a human response to corruption. When people see injustice, they naturally resist, they seek justice, they demand accountability, and they look for a courageous resistor. Now, you've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, is doing things in America that are taking power away from the people in Mexico who are creating this corrupt system. The people of Mexico have always known about the corruption. They've always known about the greed, the situation, and they've done nothing about it because they have never had a leader, a resistor. They have never had anybody like President of the United States, Donald Trump, to help them in their resistance efforts. And this is what, by building the wall between America and Mexico, we have eliminated a lot of the drug trafficking, eliminated a lot of the illegal alien, the human trafficking, and those things. We've eliminated a lot of that. So by eliminating that, we're taking the money away from the cartels. The cartels are acting out of desperation now. They don't know what else to do, so they keep doing what they've always done. But what they've always done seems to be, well, it's no longer working as well. And the reason it's not working as well is because they're losing money. I mean, this is the narcotics organization down in South Central America and Mexico is a very expensive organization to keep running. They have to keep the bribes going. They have to keep the extortion going. They have to pay the people who carry out their edicts, their demands. So it's a very expensive organization to keep running. And so when they run out of money, they can't keep the organization going. So the organization becomes weak. The people of Mexico are seeing the corruption becoming weaker and weaker. They're seeing the cartels becoming weaker and weaker. And because Donald Trump is playing the part of, well, the resistor. I'm not going to say Donald Trump is Zorro. Zorro is the spirit of resistance. The people want to carry out their resistance, but they need somebody to lead the resistance. Donald Trump, President of the United States, is helping the people of Mexico to lead this by leading this resistance. Donald Trump is creating the environment that the Mexican people needed. They have always needed to lead this resistance. And that's what America is doing to help in Mexico. We are helping them to get rid of the corruption that's been with them for a very long time now. Okay, so every society creates a legendary resistor. Across cultures, mythical heroes emerge to resist oppressive power. And like I said before, Robin Hood never existed, but led justice against corrupt rulers. King Arthur never existed, but restored honor to a broken land. Beowulf also never existed, confronting monstrous threats others cannot. And these are archetypes, not individuals. Just like Zorro is an archetype, not actually an individual. Now, early California, a land ripe for legend. Early California lived under Spanish rule, then Mexican rule. Now it's American rule with heavy taxation, coercion, and consequences for disagreement. Okay, so the birth of Zorro, the birth of the spirit of resistance. Okay, a world ready for rebellion. People faced abusive officials, forced ideologies, economic exploitation, and harsh consequences for dissent. And this is what I'm talking about. Is what was going on was the Spanish didn't want to relinquish their position there. The Spanish governors, the Spanish owners, the landowners, and so forth, they didn't want to give up the amazing life that they had there. I mean, these people were wealthy, they were powerful, they were very, very happy, they were very, very influential, and they didn't want to give that up. They also didn't want to be part of Mexico. They wanted to be what they had been, and their fathers, their grandfathers, and all these people before them had been. They didn't want to give all that amazing stuff up. And the people of California were getting very tired of these very wealthy, very influential people controlling their lives, controlling their assets, controlling their jobs, and just taking everything from them anytime they wanted it. So that's what was going on in California. So California was ready for rebellion because of all the bad stuff that they had to deal with. And the birth of the archetype. Zorro, like I said, is not a person. Zorro is the archetype of resistance to injustice. And he represented the courage ordinary people could not safely express. And so essentially, if we say in America, hey, Uncle Sam, hey, Uncle Sam never existed. U.S., U.S. is United States. So if we say U.S., we just say, oh, well, that's Uncle Sam. Yeah, Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam never existed. But if we create posters and everything and say, hey, what would Uncle Sam do? Uncle Sam wants you. Uncle Sam needs you. And roughly the equivalent to that would be, hey, Zorro needs you. And I don't know how the idea of Z for Zorro came about. And I think it's a terrific letter because the person writing the book wanted something you could do with a sword and just whoosh, 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 Z for Zorro. And you couldn't really do that for Quincy. You know, it's like, well, Q for Quincy. Oops, you know, and it's never really gonna be very good. And well, how about Albert? You know, the Albert doesn't really work for it. Zorro. Let's try Zorro. Hey, the Z for Zorro works. So that was one of the characteristics of Zorro, taking his blade and just doing the Z thing. So that's probably how that started. Everything. So anyway, so. This is where we get, you know, the archetype for Zorro. He represented the courage ordinary people could not safely express, just like Uncle Sam to people of the United States. We would say, hey, Uncle Sam needs you, Uncle Sam wants you. They would say, hey, Zorro wants you, Zorro needs you, or something like that, okay? So that's how that started. Now, why Zorro resonates? Zorro symbolized courage, honor, justice, protection, and these are all the divine virtues. The people of California, of course, the Catholic Church came north and spread Catholicism and Christianity throughout the New World. And you know, some of the divine virtues are, I guess there are 7 divine virtues or something like that. But this is just a list of courage, honor, justice, protection. These are some of the divine virtues. And since your average Mexican citizen in the state of California was a Christian or Catholic, they accepted, took the divine virtues to heart, and wanted to be more divine in the eyes of God. And so with these divine virtues, they became the voice for those who were powerless. And this is you know, part of, you know, how it happened and how it's happening in Mexico right now. So the collective hero, Zorro embodied the oppressed, the silenced, the intimidated, the people pressured to accept forced ideas. Once again, the forced idea of either silver or lead. Okay, I mean, the people in Mexico want a constitutional republic. They actually have a constitutional republic in Mexico. They have democracy in Mexico. It is a constitutional republic, and they carry out democratic elections just like we do in America. They have, in fact, if you look on the Mexican money, it says Estados Unidos de Mexico, which is the United States of Mexico. United States of America, United States of Mexico. So, I mean, they are basically, you know, it's the same thing. They do the same stuff we do. It's just that we have a whole lot more money in America because of some of the things that we have done, some of the things we've accomplished. So we have a whole lot more money, so we can afford in America to have a system of corruption, and our system of corruption can send money down there, which causes Mexican officials to have to accept corruption. And so, you know, that's just the way it happens there. That the people are pressured to accept forced ideas, and this is, you know, how the corruption gets down to Mexico. So good ideas versus forced ideas, and how ideas gain accepted. Ideas spread in only 2 ways: because they're good ideas, or because rejecting them leads to punishment. And this is something a long time ago. My grandfather died in like 1968, 1969, sometime around there. He died health complications due to smoking. He smoked like 4 packs of unfiltered Camel cigarettes every day since he was like 14 years old. So I mean, it was about time. You know, he did not die healthy. He definitely died sick and everything. So he was a business person in southern Missouri, in a little town called Thayer, and there were a lot of black people there who needed jobs, and he had work for people to do. And he didn't care if you were black or white. He would say, show up. The first people to show up are the first people to get hired. And of course, black people would show up before the sun even came up, because black people, they needed the work. They wanted to show up and get the work. So my grandfather would put these people to work doing whatever. Now, white people would eventually start showing up, and my grandfather knew, given, and this was like the 1930s, 1940s, given the presence of the Ku Klux Klan in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas at the time, my grandfather knew he could not say no to a white person looking for a job. So he couldn't pay both the white person and the black person. So ultimately what my grandfather was forced to do was send a black person home to hire the white person. White person is hired, black person goes home, all right? So this is something my mom told me about when I was growing up, and she said to me, some people you hire because you want to get the job done, and some people get hired because you don't want your house burnt down and your businesses burnt down. This is the decision, the type of decision that the people in Mexico face because of all of the American money that is going down to the cartels in Mexico. And this is why it's incredibly important that what Donald Trump is doing by creating a strong border, by denying access to people who want to just walk across the border, and by sending criminal aliens back to their home countries, Donald Trump is taking away the funding that these drug cartels have. So these drug cartels can no longer afford to do the business that they are doing. So the Mexican people are no longer being required to choose between doing the right thing and getting your house burnt down, or doing the wrong thing and being allowed to live. The Mexican people are now being given, they're being empowered by what Donald Trump is doing. They're being empowered to make the right decision, to stand up to the cartels. And this is the spirit of Zorro. The spirit of Zorro is alive in Mexico. The people of Mexico are taking the spirit of Zorro, and they are standing up against oppression. They are finally, for once in their lives, for once in recent history, the people of Mexico are empowered to do this, to stand up to the oppression. And the reason they're being empowered to do this is because of the things that Donald Trump is doing in America and all over the world. So, anyways, yeah, because they're good ideas, because rejecting them leads to punishment. And so Zorro resisted forced ideas. He fought coercion, corruption, and abuse of power. He stood against those who corrupted their power for personal gain. And like I said, power is the ability to get somebody to do something by force. Either you're taking away something they need, or you're pointing a gun at them and saying, do it, or I'm pulling the trigger. Authority is the ability to get somebody to commit to an agenda through personal choice. If you tell your kids, do your homework or you're going to get a spanking, then all that your kids know is they have to do their homework or they'll get a spanking. And whenever they get out of high school, all they're going to know, they're probably not going to go to college because they don't really have any value for education beyond getting away from punishment. But if you teach your children the value of education, if you show them, look, being able to read is going to help you out now, but it's going to help you out when you're 25, 35, 40, 50. When I was in high school, I say the most valuable thing that I learned in high school was typing. Okay, because typing, it's incredibly important. You have to communicate, you're going to do emails, you've got letters, you've got reports to do, homework to do and everything. The stuff that I learned my freshman year of high school, typing, it helped me, it's still helping me today. And that was a long time ago. That was like 1978, 1979, sometime around there. That's when I learned how to type. And I'm still using the typing skills I got back then. So authority is the ability to get somebody to voluntarily commit to something by presenting a good argument to support what they're doing. So if you teach your children to do their homework because it's going to help them in the long run, it's going to help them later, it's going to get them the respect of intelligent and smart people, it's going to get them respect of people who might provide them with jobs or stock tips or whatever. Education is a valuable thing. And if you teach your children the value of education, you're not going to have to beat your children if they get bad grades. They are going to consider it to be a personal failure if they get a bad grade, and they are going to work to fix that. Okay, and that's the same way with that's authority. Power is the ability to get somebody to commit to an agenda for fear of being punished. Authority is the ability to get somebody to commit to an agenda for the opposite of fear about being punished. They're committing to the agenda because they're enthusiastic about how it will affect them in their future. Okay, so that's the conflict between power and authority, and I discussed that in I think a video a while back when I was talking about Milton's Paradise Lost. But anyway, so Zorro stood against those who corrupted their power for personal gain, and that's an important thing. That's this is why Zorro had authority and the corrupt officials had power. So today's echo of forced ideas. The modern coercion takes the form of social pressure, media narratives, political marketing, manufactured outrage. And this is anytime you see the manufactured outrage, the paid protesters and all the people, the pieces you see on the news, the left-wing news about how conservatives are messing things up, like that. That's the manufactured outrage. And by choosing to stand up to those forms of oppression, the social pressure, the media narratives, the political marketing, manufactured outrage, by choosing to stand up against those things, you are showing that it takes authority to get people to stand up to this stuff. All of these things on this list, they are about power. Authority takes away the influence of power. And that's why authority is a better motivator than power. Okay, so the misdirected Zorro Californians are not to blame. Okay, the Zorro spirit is alive in California. Californians deeply value justice. They oppose oppression. They want to protect the vulnerable, and this instinct is a strength. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay, the source of misdirection, the people are not at fault. The misdirection comes from political marketers, media consultants, fundraising strategists, and narrative engineers. These groups profit from fear and outrage. And this is why you see all the Californians on the streets protesting, burning cars, and throwing things at the police and the authorities, is because their anger is misdirected. You see, the law authorities, the legal authorities, the police, ICE, the federal government intervening, these are all forces for good. This is all good. These people are good. They're trying to help the common people in California to fight against oppression. The problem is that the people who market, the social engineers like that, they have portrayed the federal forces, ICE and the police and the Republicans, Donald Trump, they have created this delusion that the government coming in to get rid of illegal aliens and try to eliminate the corruption in government, try to take away the power of the organized crime figures. They've created this ideology, this idea that's bad. And a lot of the people in California, they are accepting this. And they're accepting this because their authority figures are telling them to accept this. You see, authority has a light side and a dark side. If somebody accepts this person as an authority figure, Jimmy Kimmel, for instance, Jimmy Kimmel was accepted as an authority figure by the people of California, so the people of California listen to what Jimmy Kimmel has to say. That obedience to his authority is misdirected. They should help out the people who are trying to fix what's wrong with California, because fixing what's wrong with California is helping to fix what's wrong with Mexico. Our influence, America's influence in Mexico, has created a corrupt, violent system that is oppressing the people in Mexico, and California is helping that to happen. And that's one of the reasons why what's going on in Washington is being resisted in California, because the Californians are reacting to their authority figures, but the rest of the United States is reacting to other authority figures. The fact that the Mexican people, the people in Mexico, are getting the courage to stand up to the corruption in Mexico is telling me that what the President of the United States is doing in America is working. So the authority figures that are being pushed into California these are the good authority figures. The bad authority figures, the dark authority figures, the people who are in California now telling the California citizens, hey, they're the bad guys. You should listen to us because I'm a famous actor. I'm a famous supermodel. I'm a famous talk show host. You should listen to me because I'm famous. See, that's the wrong reason to consider somebody to be an authority figure. An authority figure is a wise, learned individual who can back up whatever they say with objective evidence, with objective criteria. They are people who can make a statement and support that statement. And very often the statements that are made by the fraudulent authority figures, these statements can't really be backed up with any objective criteria. So it's up to every person out there to critically examine whoever it is they're taking as an authority figure, and judge for themselves. Is this a good authority figure? Is this a bad authority figure? Is this person helping, or is this person hurting the situation? And that's how the California citizens they're suffering from misdirection, because the authority figures they've accepted, the people they've accepted as their authority figures, are leading them in the wrong direction. And it's that way because they just really haven't critically evaluated the authority figures that they're following. If they did that, if they critically evaluated the authority figures that they're following and giving their obedience to, they would probably have a different decision. But be that as it may, what's happening in Mexico is a good thing. And it's happening down there because the President of the United States is helping it to happen by doing what he's doing in the United States. So that's one of the reasons that I support what Donald Trump is doing. The manufactured villains replace the real ones, that's what I just said. To maximize fundraising and influence, they frame law enforcement as villains and paint border agents as oppressors, and they portray Trump as a tyrant. And these aren't truths, they're profitable narratives. So basically, the people in California who are creating these narratives, they're making money from them. Okay, so Californians are responding to injustice, but not the right one. The Zorro instinct is real. The moral courage is real. Only the target was manipulated. The people of California have been manipulated by bad authority figures, misdirected authority figures. They've been manipulated into believing that Trump and the people that work for Trump are the bad guys. So that's what I mean by that. The collateral damage of misdirection, Californians seeking justice, ICE officers doing their jobs, migrants exploited by traffickers, border communities overwhelmed, and Mexican families are suffering the real corruption. And all these things are what the federal government is seeking to alleviate. All these problems in California it's the objective of the federal government to get rid of these problems. And the Californians who are misdirected by their authority figures are supporting the wrong people. So real corruption today, look to Mexico. Mexico's president crisis. The public allegations of narco-political corruption have shaken Mexico. And these allegations are widely reported and denied, but the unrest is real. And you can deny this all you want, but the people of Mexico know that the government is in the pockets of the narco-traffickers. Riots and public revolt. The Mexicans fear cartel infiltration of government, the loss of sovereignty, political instability, and this is genuine resistance to oppressive power. The oppressive power is the power that comes from the narco-traffickers and gets into their government. So the Mexican people need an archetype of justice. They face real threats: violence, extortion, corruption, abuse of power, fear for their families. And this is where the real Zorro archetype belongs. The contrast, real versus imagined villains. California, the villain is manufactured by political marketing. In Mexico, the villain is real and dangerous. So the people of California are being misdirected by political marketing because there's more money in misdirecting the people of California. The people who are in power in California, they want what has been happening to keep going on, because that's the way they maintain their power, that's the way they maintain their money supply. I mean, the politicians are making ridiculous amounts of money by staying in power, by directing the tax dollars that are collected by government. I mean, it's a very lucrative, government is a very lucrative business to be in. So this is same things happening in, the villain is real and dangerous in Mexico, and this is what the Mexican people have recognized the villain. They know what the villain is. California is still under the influence of dark marketing, what I always call dark marketing, political marketing. So anyways, the true Zorro, what he would fight today. Zorro opposed corruption, not law enforcement. Zorro never fought legitimate law. He fought those who abused their power. And, that was a good thing. Who the vulnerable are today. Zorro's protection today would fall upon Mexican families under cartel pressure, migrants manipulated by traffickers, border communities that are overwhelmed, officers risking their lives to protect others. Zorro fought for a just society. And a just society requires truth, law, order, and accountability. That's everything that Donald Trump is trying to bring to California. Not scapegoating those who protect the public. Redirecting California's Zorro archetype. Californians should aim their heroism towards the real corruption, the real threats, the real injustice, away from the illusions sold for political profit. And let's see, I mean, there are a lot of examples of this happening in California. I mean, let's look at recently the Los Angeles fires. Okay, I mean, Los Angeles, huge parts of Los Angeles burnt down, and I mean, what was where was the government? What was the government going to do about it? They couldn't do anything about it because there was no water to fight the fires. Why wasn't there any water? Oh, well, they were doing something like this. So. Gavin Newsom, whenever the Chinese dictator, president, whatever you want to call him, came to visit San Francisco, Gavin Newsom went ahead and cleaned up the streets and removed the homeless and all that stuff. And that really seems to be the only time that he does anything positive for California is whenever it makes him look good. The railroad track, the high-speed railroad that was supposed to be built never got built. It has been. It's cost like billions of dollars over budget, and they've gotten practically nothing. The electric car fiasco. California, the state of California, is pretty much paying people to purchase electric cars, and that helps out the government because the government gets to say, okay, well, they're going to get electric cars. We need to build a electric recharging grid. And of course, there's going to be some corruption there because power corrupts. Power doesn't always corrupt. Power provides the opportunity for corruption. And so what happens whenever you have the opportunity for corruption is greedy people see here's an opportunity to make money. And so this is where what I've always called dark marketing comes in to present people with the idea that they're being mishandled, they're being misrepresented, they're being misdirected by the government. And so what these dark marketers do is they tell the people, we can save you, we can fix what's wrong, we can do all this stuff for you, and of course we're going to take a little bit of money for it, it's going to cost some money. And what happens is the treasury of the state, it becomes deflated. Lots of money leaves the treasury, but nothing really gets done. And that's because the dark marketers are there to provide the corrupt people with opportunity to make money off of the potential for corruption. You see, this is what California is facing now, and this is why the people of California are being misdirected against law enforcement, is because there's more money for the politicians of California as if the people are misdirected. Okay, so anyways, so my conclusion here. What California must relearn is heroism requires clarity. You must choose the right target. And law enforcement is not the right target. Heroism, like I said, requires clarity. And clarity in this case is looking at your authority figures critically. The things that your authority figures say, do they hold up to objective criteria? Do your authority figures have an explanation? Whenever they say something, can what they say be backed up objectively? And that's something that the people of California really aren't asking, and that's why there's corruption and misdirection, is because the authority figures are not being examined critically. And there's a lot of fear about doing that in California because those who do critically examine the authority figures, a lot of times those people are canceled. You know, remember the whole cancel culture thing. So And it goes back to what I said. Sometimes you hire people because you want to get the job done. You hire other people because you don't want your house and business being burnt to the ground. In California, there are certain ideas that you accept because they're good ideas, and there are other ideas that you accept because you don't want to be canceled by cancel culture. So that's the spirit that's alive and well in California, and that's why a lot of the misdirection is happening. So the real injustice exists. It just isn't where political marketers point, because political marketers want to keep making money off of political marketing. The path forward: Californians can reclaim the true Zorro by demanding honesty, rejecting manipulation, standing with the vulnerable, and supporting real justice. And this is where the people of, the Mexican people need Californians. The Mexican people living in California need Californians to stand with them, to demand clarity, to demand accountability and transparency in the government, and not just the Mexican people, the homeless people, the downtrodden, the people who are chronically unemployed, the people who would be, decent, wonderful, amazing human beings if it weren't for their addiction problems. So the people of California really need to, well, people everywhere, not just California, all across the United States. Authority figures need to be held to a higher standard of proof. Anything they say cannot just be taken for granted. Authority figures have to be able to support anything they say by using objective logic, objective criteria, and facts, not opinions. So, and cancel culture has to be, cancel culture, something has to be done with cancel culture, because if a person can be canceled just because they don't agree with certain ideas or values. Jimmy Kimmel was almost canceled because of a couple of the things he said. Jimmy Kimmel's beliefs almost got him canceled, and I don't think that his beliefs should get him canceled. If he wants to believe a certain way, let him believe. Let Jimmy Kimmel be an authority figure to people who want Jimmy Kimmel to be an authority figure. But to the people who accept Jimmy Kimmel as an authority figure, critically evaluate his opinions. His opinions are perfectly fine. He's allowed to have his opinions, but before you follow what he says, go through an evaluation process. See if his opinions and his ideas stand up to truth and transparency. Okay, so supporting real justice. Okay, so the final message is, Zorro is not a person. Zorro is an archetype of resistance to injustice. And California's heroism is real. It simply needs a worthy target. And that's all I got for right now for that. But and the important thing to understand here, one of the important things that I want to just really establish or really drive home here is that what Donald Trump is doing in Washington, D.C. by enforcing the law, enforcing the Constitution, enforcing transparency and accountability to all the branches of government is helping America. I know there are a lot of Americans who will say, well, he's destroying America, but he's not destroying America. The popular opinion, the popular idea is that he's destroying America. And it's a popular idea because the people who support it, like I said, they're popular people. They're actors, they're comedians, they're news anchors, the people who you like, the people who you want to like. You want these people to be right. You want these people to... The train's coming by right now, man. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah. Yeah, the train horn. There's a train track just like right next door to the studio here. But anyways, like with George Clooney. George Clooney is a terrific actor and, from what I understand, a pretty decent guy. And if George Clooney says something, you want George Clooney to be right. You want to support George Clooney. You know, and you know, you like these people. They come into your home and you watch their movies. And you know, so you like these people, you want these people to be right. So whenever they say something, you want whatever they say to be accurate. You want to be able to take whatever they say at face value, say, well, George Clooney likes it, so I like it. And you think about it, this is the way marketing works. This is why they get celebrity endorsement, because, you know, a long time ago they would have doctors, and there were cigarette commercials. And these cigarette commercials would have actors and television personalities say, that's why I smoke this particular brand of cigarette. And they would light it up right there on the television, and you could see them smoking. And you know, this is how America got hooked on tobacco, was by doing so. And another thing, smoking used to be a man's thing. Women didn't smoke. So something that marketers did, marketers would actually pay actresses extra money if they would smoke during a movie, during a television show, something like that. So by getting female actresses to get addicted to cigarettes, the cigarette market boomed, because women, generally speaking, women didn't smoke. But because the actresses that they respect did smoke, they're going to start smoking. And this is the way the social engineers and dark marketers will get to you, is they will get to you through the people who you like and who you want to be like, who you admire. Sports figures, actors, comedians, famous people. So that's what you have to watch out for. So anyways, getting back to this, thanks for watching. This is the raccoon of ending stuff. And these are the 10 things that I intend on, my top 10 things. I want to remove $5 trillion from national debt, propose a 28th Amendment for transparency and financial incentives, secure America's digital infrastructure by requiring PLCs be built domestically, tuberculosis and polio screening for all migrants as well as food workers, the 5-pillar blueprint for to empower local governments, protecting our law enforcement through the Reasonable Operation Space Act, requiring early measles vaccination, American Talent First Act to ensure American workers are prioritized for American jobs, and immunotherapy for cancer research. That's something we do here in Oregon. That's definitely a good way to get federal dollars, and in-person voting. And of course, I do support President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think everything he's done recently, he's ended so many wars, he's ended so much conflict, he has brought peace agreements to so many people. I think he's a terrific president, and I think that if you get past all of the dark marketing that has put Donald Trump in a negative light, and if you look objectively at all of the things that Donald Trump has done, I think you'd agree with me that he does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. And he definitely deserves a big thanks from all the people of the United States of America and Mexico. So what we have here is the Make America Great Again thing, the MAGA. And yes, I am a MAGA Republican, but first and foremost, I am a, my thing just cut out on me. I don't know what happened there. Let's see if I can get it. There I am. I am a Make Oregon 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district Republican. So I'm a Musk Republican, which if I ever get to meet Donald Trump, I'll let him know that I'm a Moss Dagsic Republican, and he'll probably get a chuckle out of it and everything. But mostly, I just want everybody to know my name is Thomas W. Timbrooks for the United States House of Representatives. I want to go to Washington, D.C. and represent Oregon's 6th Congressional District for the Republican Party. My objective is to make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. And something George Carlin said, he said, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers. Well, I say never underestimate the collective potential for tyranny and hypocrisy from strategically placed, ideologically indoctrinated politicians and the activists who enable them. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I know my voice is very soothing, and it's probably put a lot of you to sleep, but thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you vote for me, so take care.